If you are the kind of woman who can do hard things, then this episode might feel like a very deep exhale for you guys because you have tried harder and you have been disciplined and you have done your research and you have done all the tracking. You have cleaned up your meals, you've pushed through your workouts. Even when you're tired, you have taken the supplements, you listen to the podcasts. You have tried to be the kind of woman who gets it right, and somehow your symptoms just got louder. Your sleep got a lot lighter, and your cravings probably got more intense. Your cycle got more unpredictable, perhaps. Your mood got more reactive for some of you. Your body started feeling like a problem that you just could not solve. So I want you to hear this clearly. Discipline is not the missing piece. Capacity is. And if your body is pushing back when you are trying harder, it is definitely not because you are failing. It is because your system is overloaded. So, welcome back to Healing Her Feminine. I am Lindsay Alexis with Lindsay Alexis Coaching. This is episode 2 of our Regulation First series. So if you missed the first episode, please go back and listen to that. You don't have to do it now. You can do it after you listen to this one. I am going to address the elephant in the room if you are watching this on YouTube. If not, then don't worry about it. But it has been raining outside today. It is not the best day to be recording this, but I wanted to show up for you guys anyways. So my lighting kind of really sucks. And I have no clue what my hair is doing today. Just wanted to put that out there. All right. So again, if you're not watching this on YouTube, then just disregard all of that or go to YouTube and find out what the heck I'm talking about, because I have all my episodes there, as well as all of my shorts, all of my little reels and things from all of the other episodes. Okay, let's get into it because this is going to be a fully packed episode today, and I am really excited to bring it to you. Some things have been shifting for me over the last few days into this week, and even more will be shifting next week. So I'm excited for this series to bring it to you just as much as I am for you guys to listen to it. So today we are talking about something that I constantly see in high achieving women, your CEO types, your business owners, management style type women. So what is it? You have normal labs. We talked about that last week. And you don't have anything that looks really serious on paper, right? And you keep doing what you just keep doing what you're doing, right? You keep doing the things because those things are the check boxes that we are told to do, right? Everything that I just mentioned in the beginning of this podcast. And you're just managing your symptoms at this point because there's nothing that the doctors can really do necessarily, or so that you're saying. And so you're just doing what you're doing, right? You tell yourself that, you don't have the time, right? Time seems to be a big constricting factor with health and our wellness, right? So you're saying, I don't have time to try something else. I've already tried everything. You probably tell yourself that you can power through it. Eventually it will go away. You might say like, I'm capable of doing all of these things on a day-to-day basis. And so I can just manage this like I'm managing everything else in my life. And you probably do all of that. But then there is a point at which your body literally says no go. I am not living like this anymore. So if that is you, then I want you to feel seen in this episode. And I also want you to feel relieved because this is not about you needing more willpower, right? That's a good thing. You don't have to dredge up more energy from the well that barely has any energy left in it. Okay. This is just about you needing more capacity. So we're going to talk about what that actually means and why, more protocols and these things that you see online or read about, they can sometimes actually do the opposite, and they can become another stressor on how wellness now starts to become something that you perform, right? It's something that you're doing. It's not something that you're loving, right? You're not having joy and fun with it. And so you want something that has a supportive structure, okay? And I'm going to show you what that looks like instead. So just a quick reminder before we begin, because I'm going to get into some medical terminology in this episode, just a reminder that, this podcast is educational. It is not medical device. So I'm not here to diagnose you or to fully treat you. If you have symptoms that feel scary or urgent, then please go ahead and seek medical care from your primary care doctor or OBGYN. Anybody who is in your realm of care. Good words, realm of care. Okay, so the pressure stack. I want to talk about the pressure stack first. What is that? So this is the invisible load that builds over time. So it's not just one thing, right? It's not the what do they say, the feather that broke the camel's back, right? That's not what this is. It is a combination of things that look really healthy on the outside, but they feel like pressure on the inside. Everything that I just mentioned, right? So here's what sorry, there's a blue jay outside. He's distracting me. So beautiful. Okay, focus. The pressure stack includes restriction, right? So we look at the food that we're eating and we go, I don't need to be eating this, or I should be eating this, or I need to eat less of this, or I need to eat more of that. And it's just this constant pressure of restriction. A lot of times the next one is overtraining. We go, oh, okay, I need to strength train, and I do need to do cardio, and I need to do stretches and yoga and Pilates and like all of these things. I need to do cold plunges, right? Like all of these things that are just that we're told that we should be doing, and we're actually overtraining our bodies. Here's another good one. Perfectionism. Anybody OCD or overcoming OCD? That is me. Perfectionism, we tend to have to do everything perfectly, right? And if we can't do it well, we decide that we're just not going to do it, or we're not going to do it again. Again, going back to the whole time, if I don't have time to do it right, why am I even going to do it? The next one is information spirals. There's so much information out there, guys. And the crazy thing is, I'm going to side note here. I literally just saw on my feed, I think it was Instagram, where this guy was saying, oh, I want to show you how to make X amount of money in X amount of time. And so I used my system with the help of AI to create this PDF download booklet, something or other, about, and he's like, oh, he was like, and I don't have any experience in the field. I started with 0 followers, like, all of the things that they tell you. I don't know if you guys get these in your feed or if it's just me, because I'm a content creator as well. But they were like, oh, you can make this amount of money without the experience, without the knowledge, without this, without that. And he was like, I made this entire thing on helping parents with their kids sleep, some degree of that, right? And he like scrolls through and shows like this content that he made, this PDF download that he made. And I think he was only charging like $27 or something for it. But he's like, I didn't have to know anything to do this. And I was like, this right here, this is why The health and wellness space is so sketch. This is why so many people have zero trust when it comes to people who are actually trying to actually help people heal, is because people like this want to come onto the platform and use solely AI instead of actual education, actual experience, actually result based type things. And they just want to create content and sell it and make money, and boom, done. Here we go, we're out. And that's absolutely wrong. 100% wrong. There's so many of those things. Like, it's a pedestal I will stand on until we figure out how to solve this problem. But there is so much misinformation out there. And so a lot of people who don't have that health and knowledge background can't decipher what is real and what is not real. We cannot decipher what is a generic blanket statement over what is going to actually be beneficial for my body, for my age, for the life that I'm living, for the environment that I live in. Like, there's so much misinformation. So then we tend to do these information spirals where we're constantly like obtaining just more and more information. And we think that the more information we have, the better we can regulate or manage our symptoms, but we're not actually healing our bodies. So the reason that all of this matters is because your body doesn't experience these things as like separate categories. Okay. It doesn't go, oh, we're just overtraining ourselves. So, this lane of my body being stressed out is the only stressor, if that makes sense. All of these things combine, and it's a multiple impact stress load. Okay. And I'm going to get to that in a second. So like I said, your body just is experiencing all of this as like a load, right? It's as a demand. And then your body goes into vigilance, right? And constant output. Your body is always adapting. Okay. It's always adapting, which is great because this is part of being human, right? You're always adapting for safety reasons, right? Your body just wants to survive. Your body just wants to be safe. And we talked about that in the last episode as well. So all of this comes down to one word, a medical term, guys. It is called allostasis. And when I had my old podcast years ago, I did a whole series on allostasis and the allostatic load and chronic illness and all of the things. If I dig deep in my files, I might be able to find that episode and bring it to you guys. But I did want to mention this in this episode because I think it fits really well with what we're talking about regulating first and your nervous system, and why this is so important as the foundational work to everything else that you want to do that you're already doing. So allostasis is your body's ability to adjust to stress, to change and demand so that you can keep functioning. Okay. Think of it as resiliency. Okay. Or like I mentioned earlier, your capacity, right? The capacity would be like the load that you can carry, right? The amount, like, what is that? What does that look like specifically for you? And then allostasis is going to be your resiliency, your ability to navigate when those pressures take hold. So when that demand, those outside stressors or even internal stressors, because you have to remember, as humans, we perceive things before they actually happen in reality. A good example, if you have children and your children say, hey, I'll call you when I get there, and they don't call you, and this may be like the first time that they've been with this person, or they have gone to this place, or maybe they're on a trip, and you just want to make sure that they got there safe, and they don't call, and then you're like, okay, maybe they just forgot. And then hours go by, and then you're like, okay, seriously, what is happening? Your brain is already churning up all these scenarios that could have potentially happened. None of them can actually be real, but your body doesn't know that. your body still perceives them as stress. So your mind can actually be a liar, and it can actually be part of the reason why you have more stress in your life. Constant anxiety is a stressor. OCD, like I said, that perfectionism, that is a stressor. It's internal. It is perceived by the mind. It is not something that is physical. Anyhow, so this is your allostatic load. Okay. It's the wear and tear of carrying too many things, too much for way too long. So again, high achieving women, if you have been the strong one, the disciplined one, the one who powers through the things, the one who, makes sure everybody is on track to what they're doing, and you're the emotional regulator of everybody, listen to me when I tell you that your body is not being dramatic. Your body is just responding to the load that it is carrying. It is bracing. And bracing is not always loud. Sometimes bracing looks like a tight jaw. Some of you might have TMJ. It looks like shallow breathing. You might breathe rapidly. Your watch could indicate, right? My watch indicates how stressed I am at different times during the day. And sometimes I'll catch my watch and I'll be like, oh, it says that I'm really stressed out right now, but I don't feel stressed out. Like, why is this reading this way? It's because it's reading those metrics of, how your heart is pumping fast or slow, how your breathing is, things like that. So shallow breath is a thing that is an indicator of your allostatic load being too much. You have a nervous system that never fully drops. Okay, so you never fully calm down. This is really indicative of your sleep, right? Your circadian rhythm. That's where this really shows up. You could have a mind that is always on. It's already scanning for what is next, right? And we talked about this again in the previous episode where I mentioned about the purse, right? If you are constantly preparing yourself for outcomes that never fully happen, that's still stressing your body out because mentally you're scanning for these things. You have a body that's always on, okay? So if you are going to sleep and now you have a surge of energy, or if you are sleeping and you wake up in the middle of the night, like your body is on and you could feel it. It's that wired and tired type feeling. When your body is in this state, when it's always on, it's not in repair mode. It's not in the mode that you need it to be in order to heal the thing. So if you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to gain muscle, it's not going to happen because your body is not in the physical state that it needs to be in order to process that. That is not its number one priority. Its number one priority right now is I need to get to safety. I need to protect myself. And something I just read the other day was neurologically what actually will happen is your body's nervous system. So the nervous system, I'm not going to get into too big of technical detail with this, but you have your parasympathetic nervous system, right? And then you have your sympathetic nervous system. And then those actually break down into other branches within those nervous systems, okay? There's an autonomic nervous system, there's a peripheral nervous system, like they break down into further groups. Neurologically, so when we talk about the nervous system, it's not just like this word we're tossing around because it's, a catchphrase of 2026. It is literally the nerves in your body that run from your brain all the way down your spinal cord, all the way out to the tips of your fingers and your toes. Okay, it is the entire system. It is an actual system. So what I read was that neurologically, when you are in this chronic state of stressors internally and externally, your brain will signal to your body to stop processes for long-term health and care in order to prioritize short-term health and care. So if you think about it, the things you're doing to help your body for longevity, let's talk about collagen. Let's talk about preventing osteoporosis. Let's talk about preventing Alzheimer's. Let's talk about all of these things, right? Skincare, mental health. Your body's not putting those vitamins, minerals, nutrients that you're absorbing into helping those processes for later. It's only using them in the short term, if at all. Because typically when those processes get turned off, those receptors get blocked. So even if you are, like I mentioned earlier, taking all the supplements, eating the right food, getting the right exercise, thinking it's going to help you live longer, if your body's in this state, it's doing nothing. At best, your body's absorbing it for short-term use, at best. I would stand to bet that maybe it's just being emptied out every single day. So think about that. Your body is in a state of survival. That's why we call it survival mode. And we have to pull ourselves out of this. We have to let our bodies know that it doesn't need to protect us at this level. Like, yes, it needs to protect us, but not at this level. We don't have bears and tigers and predators like chasing us like we would from our origin story, let's say. So here's the simple truth that I want you guys to know today is if your life is already full, adding more pressure is not going to create healing. It just creates more load. It puts more on your allostatic load. So here's a question. Remember, I told you we're going to start doing these lovely reflection questions throughout the podcast. Where in your wellness routine do you feel pressure instead of support? Or where it's not fun? Just notice it. There's no shame in it. I will tell you that I stopped taking a lot of my supplements because it felt like I was just performing to take the supplements. And I've showed you guys on Instagram before, like how many supplements I was taking at one time. And I said, you know what? I'm going to hit the reset button for a little bit, see what my body says, and then I'm going to navigate forward, being mindful of what supplements I actually want to or need to keep. I also found a really cool app that helps with this. It's from Dr. Mark Hyman and some other people. And so I'm like obsessed with this app. But anyways, that's another story for another day. So anyways, just notice, okay, where that question is coming up for you. Okay, where do you feel more pressure around what you're doing? So the next part that I want to talk to you guys about is why this kind of feels paradoxical. Okay. Because I said, you know, you're having all these tools, you're using all these tools, which is really great. They're here to help you. Okay. They're here to help. They're here to heal you. But sometimes those can become another stressor. So they're not actually helping you, even though they are healthy. So it's not because these tools are bad. It's just because of the state that your system is in when you are using them. So when your allostatic load is already high, then adding more of these protocols and information, it feels like you're adding more weight to the system that it's already maxed out. So even if the protocol, like I said, is healthy, then your nervous system is going to experience it as more pressure more tracking, more managing, more trying to get it right. Okay. And then that pressure does not create safety, and it creates survival mode, which we just discussed, right? So here's what I mean. When your capacity is low, your body is already working really hard just to get through the day, just on a basic level. So when you add more protocols and you add more restriction and you add more intense workouts, or you add more tracking, or you add more rules, more supplements, more research, all the things, your system doesn't see that as supportive. Think about if you were a kid, right? And you were taught something in school, let's say math, because everybody loves math. You're taught something in school, basic math. Cool, you got it, right? You got this concept. Now the teacher adds another concept to on top of that one, right? But you needed the first one to get to the second one. So now you got that. And you're like, teacher's like, okay, cool. Let's do this next one. And then the next one. And then the next one. And you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Just because I got the first 1, 2, 3, you're stressing me out with 4 through 7. Okay. That's what's happening in your body. Your body's like, okay, I'm cool right here, right where I'm at. And then you go more, 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 right? You're taking from a bucket that's already leaking. That's not support. That's survival mode. So it just experiences it as like another demand. It's just another thing that it has to get right. It's another thing that it has to manage. It's another thing that it can potentially fail at. And this is exactly where so many high achieving women get trapped, because you guys are so good at doing. I am one of them. I manage so much every single day. And I used to manage even more. Let me tell you a short story. I was a single mom, 2 kids. They were in school. I was in school. I was also working nights. I would get off my 12-hour shift from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. They would be staying with their dad at the time. I would go to school. I had chemistry first thing in the morning, like straight from work, straight 12-hour shift at work overnight, right? No sleep. Go to school, do chemistry. I think I had another class after chemistry, and then I went home, took a very short nap, and then went to go pick the kids up from school, and then had them through dinner. The nap that I took may have been 4 to 5 hours if I was lucky, but I can guarantee you it was not restful. Because during the day, most people are active and living in an apartment complex. They love to do landscaping in the middle of the day, in case you didn't know. That time in my life, I was doing way too much. Way too much. But as a high achieving person, you just do it. So we are good at doing. And that can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. So this is where we start to turn the healing into performance. It's another project. It's another checklist. It's another place to prove that we are disciplined, that we are resilient, right? So I want to say this with so much love. Supportive structure works a heck of a lot better than force. Force might create short-term compliance, but it does not create long-term regulation. And regulation is exactly what gives your body the signal that it's safe enough to repair. So here's another reflection question. What is one protocol that you are doing right now that feels like pressure? And what would it look like to soften it, to simplify it, or perhaps completely replace it with something easier, steadier, that you enjoy? So let's name something here in this episode now that doesn't get talked about a lot or enough. It gets talked about more in the psychological, like mindset realm than it does with health and wellness. And I've touched on it a couple of times already. Wellness can become performative. A lot of us start out, let's just take exercising, for example. A lot of us start out exercising because we want to feel better. Or maybe we just went through something traumatic to us, or a breakup or something. And now we're like, I'm gonna do good things for me. I'm gonna put me first. I'm gonna do good things. But then a couple weeks, couple months, you move the goalpost. And you continue to move the goalpost. That now has changed into performative wellness. Performative wellness is about identity. And some of you might post, nice meals online. You might do your exercise posts online. And your numbers will increase, your followers will increase. That's where it turns to identity. Because now, instead of you doing it as something that you did for yourself, sharing it out into the world, a lot of times, and not everybody has to fall into this category, but a lot of times, you get that positive feedback loop, the comments that are positive, the responses, the attention. And slowly it starts to shift into an identity of performance. It might look great on the outside, but what is it doing on the inside? Exactly what we just talked about. It's another added stress. I have to keep my numbers up. I have to reach my next PR. And that's just exercise. That's just exercise. That has nothing, like there's so many other avenues of performative wellness than just exercise. So, are you the woman who is the healthy one, quote unquote? Are you the disciplined one? Are you the one who doesn't need help? Are you the one who can push through? Resiliency. You wear resiliency like a badge of honor. I was her. Are you the one who can figure it out alone? That's performative wellness. I should be able to do this. I should be able to handle this. Other people have it worse. My labs are normal. It's not serious enough. I just need to be more consistent. I just need to try harder. And if you've been living in that story, I want to pause, because that story keeps you disconnected from your body. It keeps you in your head. It keeps you in management mode. And that's not healing. Healing requires a relationship. It requires listening. It requires capacity, safety. So if you have been performing wellness, your body might be pushing back because it's asking for something more honest, more embodied, more supportive, more sustainable. And so the baseline of this series is just a reassurance that you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with your body in any capacity. It's just your disconnection to yourself, which is your nervous system. Disconnection is not a character flaw, it's a nervous system pattern. It is a survival strategy. And it happens when you've been the strong one for way too long. You've been carrying it all for way too long. So here's a question. Where are you trying to earn your healing? And what would it look like to receive it instead? You know, as females, feminine energy, we are meant to be like the moon. Our cycles follow the moon. We are meant to receive the sunlight and reflect it when all else is dark. That is our role. So if you're performing, you're chasing, you're not attracting, you're not in your feminine power, you're not in your feminine glow. And that's a big shift on multiple levels, not just with wellness and nervous system regulation. That's with relationships, from friends to family to partners. That's in how you treat yourself, how you talk to yourself, how you show up for yourself, how you move about in the world, your passion, your purpose. It shows up in all of those things. So I want us to talk about what we should be doing instead, because I don't want you to leave this episode with all of this information and you're like, Lindsay, like, okay, cool. What am I supposed to do though? So here's an insight. Okay. Supportive structure is not a perfect plan. You have to leave the perfectionism at the door. It is not a strict protocol. It is not a new set of rules. You have to leave those at the door. Supportive structure is simple, it's repeatable, and it's steady. It is built around anchors. Anchors are small practices that tell your nervous system, I am safe enough to soften, which means I am safe enough to digest. I am safe enough to sleep. I am safe enough to repair. And you don't need 20 anchors, not acres, but anchors. You only need 2 or 3 that you can actually do. So here are some examples, because I would not leave you without some examples. You can have a morning regulation anchor. So before you check your phone, just take 3 slow breaths. Put your feet on the floor. Let your shoulders drop. You can put your hand on your heart if you want. That feels comfortable. And you just remind your body that I am here. That's it. I'm here. In the afternoon, you can have a steadiness anchor. You can eat a real meal. We've talked about the PFF plate before in a different episode. I think it was 9. If you guys want to go back and watch that or listen to that. But you can eat a real meal before you crash out at that 2-3 o'clock mark. You can stop waiting until you're starving. You can choose nourishment that keeps your blood sugar steady. We've talked about nourishing yourself in the morning and why breakfast is important. It doesn't have to be perfect. No perfection allowed here. Just steadiness. For the evening, you can have a downshift anchor. You can dim the lights. You can take a warm shower. You can stretch for 5 minutes. Or even like I said, for the morning, you can also put a hand on your chest and one on your belly, and you can exhale longer than you inhale. You're just telling your body that you're done for the day. That's it. It's okay to rest. Supportive structure is also about boundaries. Not harsh boundaries, but loving boundaries. The kind that protects your capacity. The kind that says, I don't need to earn rest. I don't need to prove that I'm worthy of slowing down. I don't need to perform healing. I can choose ease. And I want to say this clearly. Ease is not laziness. Ease is regulation. Ease is capacity. Ease is what's going to allow your body to come back online. So I want you to practice this. It's capacity check-in. Okay. Take a breath in through your nose, all the way to the top. And one more sip at the top if you can. Now exhale slowly, like you're breathing through a straw. Now ask yourself, what is my capacity today? Not what should my capacity be, not what was my capacity compared to last week or last month or last year. Not what do I wish my capacity was. Simply, what is my capacity today, right here, right now? And if it's, I don't have a lot of capacity today, that is totally okay. Set the boundaries to protect that. Take the rest to protect that. If it's, man, I feel really energetic today, I can do a lot. Set the boundaries around that. Choose what you're going to do for the day. So now ask, what is one supportive thing I can do inside that capacity? Maybe it's eating breakfast. Maybe it's a 10-minute walk instead of a hard workout. Maybe it's going to bed earlier. Maybe it's actually saying no to one extra thing. Maybe it's booking an appointment that you've been putting off. Let it be small. Let it be honest. Let it be supportive. And just let that be enough. So here's another question. What does your body need more of right now? Support? Because I bet it's not pressure. And what is one anchor you can commit to for the next 7 days? So let's bring this home. Let's wrap this up. If your symptoms get worse when you try harder, you're not failing. Your body is communicating. And what it's often communicating is the pressure stack is too high. More protocols are becoming another stressor. Wellness is becoming performative, and your allostatic load is way too high. Your nervous system is asking for supportive structure. So I want you to remember the core truth of this episode. Discipline is not the missing piece. Capacity is. And capacity is not something you can force. It is something that you build. Through nervous system regulation, through steadiness, through anchors, through support, through choosing what your body can actually hold. So if you're listening to all of this and you're realizing I have been trying harder for years and I'm ready for something different, I would love to support you. I would love to support you in that. And it's exactly why I have Embody Her, the balanced hormonal healing journey. We build a grounded, personalized path that blends functional medicine, somatic healing, cycle syncing, nervous system regulation, so that your healing becomes sustainable and it's not another full-time job. It's not something that you are performing. My foundation is ease, joy, and being in flow. And also peace. Peace is like a byproduct of those things. But I want you to have all of those things and I want you to experience all of those things. That's what Embody Her is about. So if you want to explore what this looks like for you, then I encourage you to go ahead and book a mapping session, feminine reconnection mapping session. You just go to my website, lindsayalexis.co/balanced. It's also in the show notes. That's going to take you to the Embody Her page. The only thing you can do on that page after you read through everything and see everything that it's about, etc., is to book a call. That's it. Because I don't want people signing up for my course, for my program, for my coaching, if you aren't in the right spot. If you're not in the right mindset, if I can talk correctly. And I want to make sure it's in alignment because I might not be the coach for you. And I will gladly point you in another direction to another coach that I know if that is the case. Again, we're not here to perform wellness. If it's not aligned, it's not aligned. I will find somebody who is in alignment with you. Because the last thing I want is more stress in your life. So this is a calm, supportive conversation. On this phone call, we map what's going on right now. What is your body asking for, right? And what support would actually feel like. It's a 30-minute call, and I really encourage you guys to go check it out and sign up. And let's figure some stuff out together. So thank you guys for being here with me on this episode. Again, it's the second one, so go back and listen to the first one if you haven't. Thank you for being the kind of woman who is willing to sit here with me today and tell the truth about what is not working, what you've been doing and how it's not working, and being really truthfully honest with yourself, especially through all of those reflection questions. You don't have to power through forever. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is a next step. You get to have ease. You get to have joy again. You get to feel whole in yourself again. Okay? So I will see you guys here on the next episode, part 3 of the Regulation First series.